What's up, everyone? Welcome to the April 13th edition of FanDuel Tournament Plays presented by PrizePicks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, you get one free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at PrizePicks. Be sure to use the code Awesemo to receive a 100% first deposit bonus up to $100. We have a 3-game MLB slate tonight on FanDuel. They did not include the 6:40 Eastern game, so it starts at 7:05 like normal. Abbreviated slate, typically it's going to mean you make some plays that you're, less comfortable with. Stacks against pitchers that are good, pitchers against teams that are good, all of that. But at the end of the day, it's still an ownership game, and there's still going to be a lot of variance in baseball, so you can still make some money on these slates. Today, we're going to take a look at 3 of the top tournament stacks for FanDuel, 3 of the top tournament pitchers, using the top pitchers and top stacks tools on Awesemo.com. Starting with the stacks, number 1, New York Yankees, projected for 21% aggregate ownership with a 20% chance of being the top stack. They are going slightly over-owned, but less so than the other stacks at the top. There's only 2 stacks on this slate that we're projecting to be under-owned, and they are a lot less likely to succeed than the Yankees. Relatively difficult matchup against Jose Barrios, but Barrios is coming off of a very difficult outing where he didn't make it out of the first inning against the Texas Rangers. Remains to be seen what he looks like tonight against the Yankees. But one way or another, the Yankees have tons and tons of power in their lineup. Healthy 4.8 implied run total here. Very, very high ceiling for the Yankees, despite a mediocre matchup against Barrios. Number 2, other side of that game, Toronto Blue Jays projected for 7% aggregate ownership with a 12% chance of being the top stack. They're going up against Garrett Cole. We know Cole is one of the best pitchers in baseball. It's very difficult to put together big games against him, but Toronto does have a ton of power in their lineup. They only have a 3.7 implied run total, but Toronto's a team that I really like getting to whenever they're not popular, whenever they're, whether it be because there's just other teams that people like or they're in a tough matchup or whatever, because they do have so much power in their lineup that when things go well for the Blue Jays, it typically goes very well. You get a lot of points in a hurry from their home runs, as opposed to some other teams where, their good games typically consist of singles and doubles, back to back and driving runs in that way. You can get a lot more points from Toronto when things are clicking for them. And number 3, Baltimore Orioles, in a difficult matchup against Corbin Burns, only a 3.5 implied run total, but 4% aggregate ownership for Baltimore, a 9% chance of being the top stack. And you also get some negative leverage here because Burns is likely to be popular. On the off chance that the Orioles actually do well, it helps vault you ahead of all the teams that rostered Corbin Burns. Taking a look at the pitchers coming in at number 1, coming in at number 3, Jose Barrios, $7,200 price tag, taking on the Yankees. Talked about liking the Yankees as far as the stack goes, but they are projected for 20% ownership. Barrios does have good strikeout stuff. He's inexpensive at $7,200, projected for 9% ownership with a 13% chance of being the top scoring pitcher. Number 2, John Means, $7,800 price tag, taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Means doesn't have the same sort of strikeout upside as a lot of the other pitchers on this slate, but he is a good overall pitcher, just, a solid pitcher that can get you, that is pretty good at preventing runs. We also know that Camden Yards is likely to be less hitter friendly this year since they moved back the wall in left field. That potentially helps somebody like Means quite a bit. And he's only projected for 9% ownership with a 17% chance of being the top scoring pitcher on the slate. And the number 1 tournament pitcher on FanDuel, Robbie Ray, $10,700 in a dangerous matchup against the White Sox. Chicago certainly has a lot of right-handed power in their lineup, but Ray is also an elite strikeout pitcher, projected for 16% ownership with a 20% chance of being the top scoring pitcher on the slate. So to recap, the top 3 tournament stacks on FanDuel: number 3, Baltimore Orioles; number 2, Toronto Blue Jays; number 1, New York Yankees; and the top 3 tournament pitchers on FanDuel: number 3, Jose Barrios; number 2, John Means; and number 1, Robbie Ray.